Well, hey there, welcome back to the shop. Welcome back to the two-stroke turbo channel. This is my shop dog, Stella. She's a cute little furry thing. She's 7 years old, going on 8 years old in a couple months. Had her since a pup, and she's the star of the show here. The only other thing that could maybe trounce her or maybe be equal is the cars. The cars are the stars. So we've always got cool little cars we're working on. This is a Fiat X19 that came in for a clutch issue. We're working on a Citroen AK400. We're working on a Peugeot 202. And then we've got a Lloyd Matrix mashup. We've got an electric Ford Escort. We've got cars. I mean, come on. Wouldn't be right to not work on microcars here. But today, something a little different. As you guys may have noticed, I picked up this QH12R digger machine earlier in the week, Monday. I think I maybe put an hour on it. I bought it used, and I've been dabbling on the forums and figured out what's good, what's bad. For the most part, these things are good, but you got to shake them down. They're made in China. Everything is made in China these days, but particularly the fluids. And we are doing the first service on our digger machine. Stella could care less. She's going to look for a place to lay down in the sunshine. It's rare that we have 60 degrees and sun here in Portland, Oregon, but today it's going to push a record 60 degrees in late February. We're supposed to get snow next week. Back to the digger. This is the two-stroke turbo channel, in case you're confused. This is not a two-stroke machine. This is a four-stroke machine. In fact, it's got a four-stroke Briggs & Stratton Chinese clone under the bonnet. You can see down in there, this is the gas tank, the muffler, the carburetor, the hydraulic pump. It's a pretty simple little machine. This machine got really wet. I don't know if it was in transport, like if it was transported outside on the deck of a ship, or who knows. It came from China. Most likely it came in a box. Maybe it sat outside. I don't know. But a couple things have bothered me. And one of them is the hour meter. Of course, now it's cleared up. This hour meter is full of water, and it didn't work. And of course, now it's been sitting in the sun. It looks like it would probably work fine. But it's heavy. It feels like a float. And if I shake it, I can hear water sloshing around. So that was the first order of business, is to put a new hour meter in. The next order of business is to put a tachometer on my machine. I'd like to have or know what the engine is revving to. So this is a digital tach. It wraps around the spark plug with these leads. And I'm going to mount that right on my dashboard there once I get done doing the service. But we're servicing the machine, and the first thing we're doing is we're changing the oil. And to do that, it's actually kind of tricky. I can look through the vents here. I've got to figure out a way to move these or open this. Stella, it's not time right now to pet. Stella's trying to get in here, get some love. We were talking about changing the oil. So the oil drain plug is at the bottom of the engine. It's way down in there. It's at the very, very bottom. And the oil fill is, there's two. There's a dipstick. It's the orange thing on the front, and there's one on the back. There you can sort of see them. It's very difficult to service. So I need to be able to put hinges on this thing, open this up like a clamshell to get in there, just to change the oil. So the machine has roughly 3 hours on it. It's used, as I said. The guy said he put 3 hours on it before I bought it. I maybe put a half hour on it. I've been piddling around the shop just trying to figure out how to make it work. I'm looking at the oil. I'm doing a little oil analysis. It's an unfiltered system. I don't like the way that looks. It's got some shavings in it, and it looks like it's got water in it. It's very light colored, but kind of milky. This is an air-cooled machine. That makes me, I don't like that. So I'm glad that I caught it. I'm glad that I drained it. I warmed it up so that all could come out. I'm happy to put in new oil. I'm going to put in some good old American oil, not Chinese oil. Some 530 is what's recommended for Briggs, and I'll fill it up properly. So that should take care of the oil. Hopefully there's no engine damage. There's no smoking. When I got the unit, it was low on oil, and I added some 540 synthetic, is what I had laying around. I added probably half quart. I'm glad I did that. I'd hate to burn this thing up. The next fluid that we have is the hydraulic fluid. the hydraulic fluid tank. Oh, I also made a cool little floor mat here. See this little floor mat tray? And the factory one is a quilted one. Underneath here, this is our hydraulic tank. This is where you add your hydraulic fluid. And there's a gauge on the side of the machine right here. When there's fluid in there, you can see the fluid, and that's a temperature gauge. And I'm draining, let's see the drain plug right there. I think you can see that. I'm draining out the hydraulic fluid. And I've got the machine in a position to where the hydraulic cylinders are as closed as I can get them. I can't get them much more closed than that. I just don't think I can. So I'm going to put in some brand new AW46 and give this thing a good hydraulic flush. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this lid off of the hydraulic tank, and believe it or not, I'm going to look for metal shavings. I'm going to take a magnet and swirl around in there and see if I can find a metal shaving. Some guys say that around the filter here there is a chance of contamination, and I don't want that in my hydraulics. I want this machine to last. So I've got a few improvements coming. I've got a brace to go between these two drive motors. It's a big sturdy bar. I'm going to put a hitch on there so I can tow a wagon, put the dump load into, and that will support these drive motors. They're kind of hanging out here. They're exposed. Things can hit my hydraulic lines, and or I can bend one of these drive motors because they're out on a kind of a plateau. So I've got that coming. I've got a hydraulic ram kit. It's called a thumb clip for the what's called the claw, or the thumb. You can see these three different positions. This is a mechanical thumb. I can pop that bolt out and I can change it. I'd like to have one hooked up to the hydraulics. The hydraulics are already here. They're just capped off, and I have the control up there. So I've got that coming. I've got the brace coming, and I'm going to flip this hydraulic cylinder around. See these pipes? They're exposed to the teeth of the bucket. That's all I need, is to poke that. I'm going to turn, basically unbolt this, unbolt that, flip that around so these hydraulic pipes are closer to the boom. So I've got a few changes between the tachometer, the oil change, the brace, the hydraulic claw, and I think I'm going to get into the valving and see if I can pump up the hydraulic pressure just a little bit so I can lift my truck. As in the last video, if you noticed, I couldn't lift the back end of my C10 truck, and that bothered me because it's not that heavy. Supposedly the lift amount on this arm is 600 to 900 pounds, and I know the truck, it's probably closer to 1500. I'd like to have a little more power. So we're going to keep working and modifying and playing around, and I'll give you my long-term reviews. This is the only vehicle in my entire life, of almost 60 years, pushing 60, that I bought brand new. That's amazing to think about that. But it was affordable, didn't have to take out a loan, and I want to keep this thing around. It's a pretty neat little rig. I really enjoy it. I can't stop digging. I think it's so fun to play in the dirt, and it's a great little toy. So stay tuned, and we'll see how this all works out, and I'll do an update soon. The cars, of course, are the stars, so we'll be focusing more on those soon. If you don't like digger videos, well, you know, I get it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video. If you could do a like push of that button there, or subscribe, it really helps out my channel. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers, and I'm so close. It's been just hovering at 98,000 for like the last 2 years. So help me out, will you? Thanks a lot. We'll catch you on the next video. Have fun.